So let's talk about the best oil to deep fry your foods in. Well, you should probably use something healthy like vegetable oil, right? Because you could see these healthy vegetables here. And you can see this one is Clover Valley. So it's probably a beautiful farm of rolling hills and clover where they make this vegetable oil. And it's pure vegetable oil. It's actually considered heart healthy on the label. There's just a little bit of saturated fat in here. I think it's 2 grams. There's no sugar. There's no trans fats. And there's no gluten. And so this is pretty much the best oil you should use to deep fry your food. And I hope you know that I am completely and utterly sarcastic today. We're going to talk about seed oils right here. And then I'm going to show you what I think you should do regarding the deep fried oils. Seed oils are called polyunsaturated fatty acids. Poly meaning many, unsaturated meaning a type of oil that it's very, very fragile and unstable. Now, the first thing you need to know is that when they talk about vegetable oils, they're really talking about seed oils. I know they have pictures of vegetables, but this is not where they're getting the oil from. It comes from corn, soy, canola, things like that. They're considered one part of the ultra-processed food category, which they use industrial processing, where they're heating, adding hexane, which is a solvent that's in gasoline. And so they go through this incredible refining process where you end up with this very refined, empty oil. And one of the reasons they do this is so it can sit on the shelf for a long period of time. We consume like 25 to 30% of our calories with this right here. Yeah, incredible. You start reading the ingredients and it's in almost everything. When you fry foods in these oils, you're basically frying other ultra-processed ingredients in this ultra-processed ingredient. For example, let's say you have a donut, right, which is pure ultra-processed food, and you're going to deep fry it in the seed oil. You're going to heat a starch or sugar with a fat. That's going to create really sticky proteins in our bodies. It's called glycation, and that sticky protein is going to gunk everything up and make it dysfunctional. And let's say, for example, we're going to deep fry some chicken, right? We're not just going to deep fry chicken. We have to coat the chicken with an ultra-processed ingredient, maybe with a starch, right? So now we're combining heat with fat, with protein. That's again going to create this sticky substance that's going to kind of clog everything up. Now, when you go to a fast food restaurant, they don't just use this oil once. They use it like 100 times. And they're going to keep reheating it and reheating it and reheating it day after day, cooking your food. And the more they heat it, the more toxic the food is. And a couple more things I want to bring up about seed oils before I move on. But seed oils were never meant to be consumed, okay? Even like in 1865, when they kind of found a process to develop these seed oils, it wasn't meant for human consumption, okay? These polyunsaturated fatty acids are meant to support our membranes of our cells. Now, the membranes are around our cells. Also, if you look inside the cell, you have all these little things that do the work. Each thing has a bag around it, which is a membrane. They allow things to communicate back and forth, but you also have the mitochondria in here. And the mitochondria is really important because nearly every disease relates to dysfunctional mitochondria. And the seed oils can actually get into the membranes and replace the membranes. And so if you're replacing the membranes with this material, it's not good. So I'm studying a book on membranes right here, Basic Principle of Membrane Technology. It's fascinating because it goes into the biochemistry of membranes and how amazing they are. And also in this book right here, The Ancestral Diet Revolution, How Vegetable Oils and Processed Foods Destroy Our Health and How to Recover. Well, the oxidative stress that occurs with smoking kind of poisons us for about 6 months to a year after quitting. But when we consume the seed oils, right, it's going to poison us for about 3 years after just one serving in cooking oil. Yeah, so there's some fascinating data. So these oils were never meant for fuel like other fats. And the biggest damaging effect from these seed oils is what they do to your mitochondria. And this is why seed oils lead to insulin resistance. Of course, from there, you have a fatty liver, obesity, heart disease, increase your risk for cancer, etc., etc., etc. So anytime you add heat to seed oils, and by the way, they're already heated when you get them, you create more toxicity, and they actually give off a lot of byproducts that creates a lot of, it's called oxidation. You can look at oxidation like rusting out something, but the seed oils are not being burned up as fuel in the body. So they kind of get lodged and stored in the body, and they just gunk up everything. Now let's look at the oils that you could use if you wanted to deep fry something. So this graph represents something called the peroxidation. That's that in the process of being oxidized stage. Soybean is the highest, right? So it creates a lot of problems. And then we have corn oil. Then we have sunflower oil, and then canola. And then we have olive, beef tallow, and coconut. So if you wanted to deep fry something, okay, you have options. You have avocado oil, you have coconut oil, you have olive oil, then you have tallow, okay, and then you have butter or ghee. So you could potentially use any one of those oils. Now, here's the problem. You probably shouldn't be deep frying any food at high heat, because no matter what oil that you use, high heat is going to create problems. Avocado oil, if you get it really refined, it's going to create more damage. If you get it like healthier, where actually the color of it's green and it's cold process, you probably should just put it on your salad and not use it with heat. But avocado oil does have higher amounts of monounsaturated, which is going to oxidize less. Just like olive oil, which is high in monounsaturated fats. You get a lot of the protective factors as well. Same with coconut oil, but they may smoke a lot more when heating. So maybe like a moderate heat, or maybe a stir fry, or even pan fried, that would be a lot better. And then you get to tallow, beef fat, because that's going to be much better for you. You can also use ghee, which is a little bit better than butter if you're cooking it to higher heat. But with butter, especially with like eggs and things, or stir frying vegetables, you're not going to heat it to the point where it's so hot that you're going to get smoking. And I think you're going to enjoy the flavor from just using butter. I think pan frying is going to be much better. If you can do an air fryer, that would be awesome, because you don't have to use any oils. And then, of course, you have stir frying. That's a good one too. Now, since I did mention this deep fried chicken, I know you're probably hungry right now and you're probably thinking about it. So I put that recipe up right here. Check it out.